We have Mikhail Korneev, researcher at Bright Blue Independent Think Tank and pressure group advocating for liberal conservative ideas and policies. Mikhail, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, let me get your initial reactions to this Onward report that suggests that the Conservative Party might be in an existential crisis, losing for the first time millennials, and as people get older, they're less likely to vote Conservative. What's your initial reaction to it?
First of all, thanks. Pleasure to be here. I think that overall the results are very interesting, very insightful, but they're very predictable as well. It's something that we have observed in recent months or recent years, that the Conservative Party is existing in a slight mismatch with the younger generation. However, it is historically unusual that millennials are not getting conservative as they age. And I think there are two broad factors that have contributed to this trend. This is first and foremost the housing, that the housing is becoming significantly unaffordable to the young generation. The house prices have skyrocketed high despite this recent decline in house prices.
Yeah, I saw a report on housing that said that in London, the deposit can be as high average of £115,000 a deposit for a house in London. So I think
it is very illustrative that housing is several times higher than what median wage would be able to afford, and that's people. When they compare themselves to their fathers and grandfathers, who in their age would be able to afford a house on their own, they get reasonably frustrated because of this.
Yeah, and so do you think, look beyond the next general election. Let's assume they're going to lose, because that seems to be the general sort of, I don't think it's a given by any stretch of the imagination, but the predictions tend to be that they're going to lose. Do you think the Conservative, if we look beyond that, do they have a more long-term problems? Could they see themselves in opposition for a generation as they lose a whole generation of voters?
I think the second big issue that have contributed to millennials shifting away from the Conservative Party is that it is an intergenerational issue. However, it is particularly strong for the millennials, for the young people, that people are becoming something more socially liberal. And this is something that the Conservative Party seemed to lose the pace with, and might risk becoming too reactionary, too focused on migration and crime, some things that are not the priority for young people and for millennials in particular.
Yeah.
So it is something that is going to play in the long term. I would probably for myself to disagree that the result of the next general election is settled. I think that
let me dream, man.
A chance for the Conservative Party. However, it has to be played wisely.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, look, I've spent far too many election nights and far too many counts disappointed to discount the Conservatives. I think the question seems to be, Clive Lewis, Labour MP Clive Lewis, earlier warned us that one of the things history teaches us is the Conservative Party are highly adaptable. They are a party of principally power, and they're able to rebrand and readapt themselves. If you're a Conservative and you're looking at this report, and let's say you're an independent advisor, what would you say to do to tip the nose of the plane up and to recover from what seems to be a nosedive in millennial voting patterns?
I can't agree more with the statement that the Conservative Party is highly adaptable, because Conservative Party is historically a party of mainstream political ideas. It is about being rational and competent and confident about the economy, not focusing so much on the...
Well, I don't think the last 13 years have been rational or competent, but
I think it's debatable. There was a lot of crisis, unprecedented crisis going on, such as COVID, Ukraine, cost of living crisis. There were,
but there were also lots of Tory crises: the NHS, housing, crime.
Yeah, just
cost of living.
In terms of the Tory have to do more, and what they have to deliver on is particularly the issues that you raise. It is the housing, it is the social services, it is the accessibility of social services. So in the medium term and the long term, it significantly comes to these broadly economical things, such as housing, such as social services. And I think that the recent activity of the current government has demonstrated that Tories do understand it, that the government does see these things, because the economy has stabilized during the Premiership.
Yeah, and so, like, listen, we're running out of time. So, my last question to you would be, as an independent think tank, do you think the Conservative Party should be raising alarms? Should they be ringing the bells? Is this a crisis, or is it merely just a small problem to deal with?
I don't think. I think these are polar views. There is definitely some truth in the middle that these things are indeed important. It is a big problem that the Conservative Party is losing the appeal to young people and to the millennials. However, we do see that this economic confidence and stabilizing the economy, delivering on childcare, for instance, and seeking to provide social service is something that people want. And if the Conservative Party continues with the same pace, it will have good chances in the upcoming elections.
Okay, thank you so much. That was Mikhail Korneev, researcher at Blight Blue, independent think tank and pressure group advocating for liberal conservative ideas and policies.